Yo, what's cracking everyone? Ericship 111 here, and today I've got a very special video for you guys. Now, since this video, I promised that I would release a tune for the Porsche 911 GT3 RS as one of the new fastest top speed cars in the game. Now, unfortunately, I was fiddling around with my tune trying to make it better to the point that I actually forgot how I was able to set up the Porsche to hit its most prominent top speed. I just kept tuning it worse and worse, and now it's taken me some time to bring it back. But now I have further improved my tune, as today I will be going with you the step-by-step in modifying the Porsche 911 GT3 RS to a near 300 mph top speed car. Now, I just want to say I don't take any credit for figuring out the car, as a Reddit and an Xbox user known as Void Solar was the first to try this out, but I've broken down his tune so I can show you all the step-by-step as to how you can achieve its true top speed, and also a small trick he uses in all his clips that he doesn't show us to gain a bit more top speed, which I will reveal towards the end of the video. So, what's the dirty catch? Well, this isn't your typical 2016 Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Instead, it is the pre-order edition, which of course, as standard in the game, is already a lot quicker than its normal version and has a lot more tuning potential. I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but I actually bought my Porsche from eBay when shops still had some of their pre-order codes left. But for those who bought it through the auction house, give this a go. I've said it many times, this is one of the best cars for speed and handling as well. So without further ado, let's get right into the modifications. Alright, so we're in the upgrade shop right now. Now, as you can see, my car is stanced a little bit weird because it's already been pre-modified for the top speed build. But here's the step-by-step process. So the first thing you want to do is move over to the conversion side. Now, with the engines available, there are only two for the pre-order edition. You've got the engine swap for the stock one, and then of course the racing V12. What you want to do is stick with the stock standard one, and then move over to the drivetrain, change it over to the all-wheel drive drivetrain because we need as much grip as possible. And then with the aspirations, you got to change them over to the twin turbos because boost produces more power. So after that, you want to move over to the engine. Now, there's only two things available: ignition, which of course you want to give race ignition, and then of course the camshafts. That's it. That's it for the pre-order Porsche. Now, I believe with the stock one, there's a lot more modifications, but it will not reach the same horsepower as the pre-order edition. Then we move over to the handling. Now, with the springs, with all of your top speed builds, you need to have the rally springs because they need to be as soft as possible, and then also you can also raise the car as well. And then with the roll cage, I wouldn't bother with the roll cage simply because it just adds more weight. Then we'll move over to the drivetrain. Very simple here. Everything needs to be changed to race simply because that will give us the gear ratios that are fully customizable, and that is very important for the top speed build. And then we move over to the tires and rims. They already come with stock racing tires, so you can change them to the Horizon Race tire compounds, but I like the standard look. And then with the width of the tires, you got to make them as wide as possible. And with the rims, these are the ones I always go with all of my top speed builds or drag builds because they are the absolute lightest that are available. Now, there are other ones that are as light as this, but just to prove that this is my build, these are always the rims that I go with. So we'll choose them. And then with the size of the rims, both front and back need to be at 21 inches. Now, the reason for this is the bigger the diameter of the wheels, the higher top speed it will achieve, simply because the wheels themselves are a little bit bigger. Now, of course, you're going to talk about tire size. That's going to be a little bit thinner, but for me, it works. So, I don't know. Debate me on that if you guys want. And then with the aero appearance, you only can choose the front. And of course, you don't want any front aero at all because that's just going to drag the car down. Alright, so after all the modifications that have been made to the car, these are the specs that you should be getting as well. Unfortunately, these are in English measurements and not in metric. So with the weight, it should be 2,839 pounds. peak power 1555 horsepower, lateral Gs 2.6, class X999. I'm just going to quickly move over to the left hand side of the screen. The speed should be at 9.8 while everything else should be at 10 rating. Alright, so now that you've got everything in terms of modifying the car, we'll now move over to the tuning part, which is the most important part of this video. Alright, so here we are, the meat of the tune. Now before I begin, if you look at the performance on the left hand side of the screen, please ignore that because I made the same mistake a long time ago with the Mosler and I followed my theoretical top speed and that's just not accurate at all. I know it says 280, but trust me, we can go a lot faster than that. Alright, so first off, we're going to start with the tire pressure. This time I went with a slightly different approach. We are bulging at 55 PSI simply because now the tires are rock hard. Now, contrary for drag racing, I used to put the tire pressure at the lowest possible because that gives a lot of grip. But for this tune, we are approaching the top speed mark. So if you set them as high as possible, the chances of reaching its top speed is a lot better. Now, you might lose grip a little bit, but trust me, this car is one of the best handling cars in the game. So setting the PSI to 55 is absolutely no problem. All right, now we move over to the gearing. This is the most important part of this video when it comes to the top speed. So the final drive, I've set it to 3.19. First, 2.53. So the first gear is actually fairly long, but of course we're not worried about the acceleration. We just want to reach to the maximum speed that this car can reach. So then as we go down to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you can see on the graph there it slightly gets smaller and smaller and smaller, just so that when it hits the top speed, it doesn't have a big power gap or torque gap. Right as it hits sixth gear, it's already reached its power peak. And then we move over to the alignment camber, both front and rear at 0 degrees, the toe 0 degrees as well, and then the front caster, I actually changed it to 1 degree. Now, I've done this in my Mosler and it has worked wonders for me. Is there a proper reason as to why? Nah, probably not, to be honest. But I've set it to 1 degree and it has worked wonders. Now we move over to the anti-roll bars. I've put both front and rear to as stiff as possible. And then with the springs, now this is also very important as well. You want the front and rear springs to be extremely soft, as soft as possible. And then with the ride height, you want the front to be raised at its highest at 6.1 inches and then the rear at 5.7. Because if you've noticed, all of the top speed videos that you see on YouTube, the car is literally sinking on the ground, at least the back part of it. And that is one part of the tune that helps you achieve it. Of course, the other is the damping. This is the exact setting I've been using, and this is what helps sink the car all the way to the ground. Now we move over to the aero. Now, of course, the front downforce is stock, therefore it's locked. But the rear wing is adjustable. So what you want to do is move it all the way to the speed. So that way it will create the least amount of downforce possible. Brakes, I wouldn't even worry about that. Now with the differential, this is how I've done it. So that's pretty much it. That's all of the modifications that you have to do in order to achieve over 290 miles per hour in the Porsche GT3 RS. So now I'm going to show you a few runs on the highway and of course the secret trick to increase a little bit more speed. Alright, so here we go. Our first run right now with our top speed build for the Porsche GT3 RS Pre-Order Edition. Now this is the route I go, including traffic in our direction, which is not the most ideal, but as we approach top speed, you can see that the car is beginning to sink onto the ground. And this makes it extremely hard because right now I can't see what car is coming towards me. But we're almost reaching 289 miles per hour. Can we reach 290 on our first run? Let's see. Yes, we can. Just 290. That's not bad for a first run. Alright, here we go. Second run. Can we reach 290? Yes, we can. 290 here. Can I go any further than that? Oh, no. I hit the fence. Ah, that slowed me down. Rewind. Can I hit 291? No. Alright. So, we know that the base run for this build is around about 290 miles per hour. Alright, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to jump into create a route. Therefore, there will be no traffic at all for me to hit. That way, I can show my true potential top speed. Now, I'm going to go back to Void Solar. Every time I've seen his clip, he has only started showing the video from the second tunnel. And I was like, why don't you just show the entire full run that you do? And there is a trick to that. Because as you make your way to the second tunnel, there's actually a slight curb to the right hand side. Now, this will take a lot of time to master. It does take a lot of skill, but if you ride the curb nicely enough where 2/3 of your car is actually on the road and 1/3, whereas your front right wheel and your back left wheel is curbing along the right hand side, your speed will actually catapult a little bit higher as well. Of course, right now you can see at such speed, it's so difficult to ride the curb nicely, but you can see the speed actually increasing a little bit, but I failed dramatically just then. However, if you do it correctly, it will look something like this. As you can see, I'm at 286, 289, 292 after clipping the curb correctly. Now, if you clip a little bit longer, I could have potentially reached up to 294 miles per hour, but that's as well as I can go. So that is the slight little touch that you need to do to achieve a little bit more top speed with all your builds. So there we have it, a brand new fastest car on Forza Horizon 4, apart from the Mosler and the Jaguar, and a small little secret that has been revealed to achieve a higher top speed. This time, it was the Porsche 911 GT3 RS Pre-Order Edition. If you guys did find this video helpful, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button. That would really help me out. And also, if you would like to see more Forza Horizon 4 content, make sure to click the subscribe button with notifications turned on. That way you won't ever miss out on another video that goes live. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.